In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. Come and take a journey with me as we go through the land of technology. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the tech zone.
I can't believe we are in the third and final segment of the show. And remember, you'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the tech zone. Yeah, pretty cool. I didn't sing that. My boy Uni did that. But enjoy being with you during the show and talking about the possible trade war with China and how it's going to affect technology, and talking about how one technology is turning the padlock industry on its ear. And that leads us to our third segment right here. A few weeks back, you remember I broke this story when I got the press release because I thought it was just so awesome that it needed to be told. The first ever 24/7, as I said at the beginning, 24/7 gaming news network, where you can find out about esports, some of the cool esports legends and players out there and teams and different news out there. I will give someone $1 of Monopoly money if they can tell me when the first ever computer competition was documented. And you can't use Wikipedia. Why don't you go ahead and tweet that to me and then let me know. But you'll be surprised to find out that answer. It's not as recent as you think. And that really shows that this competitive gaming that we see today, as we know as esports, had a beginning a long time ago. And you'll be shocked to know when that happened. But I reached out to the organization. I said, hey, I want to get someone on to talk about this. I'm a big supporter of esports and being a gamer myself. And the gaming crew that I'm going to put together of all disabled gamers, watch out, it's coming. That's all I'm saying. Don't underestimate us. But it's not about me. It is about my next guest. And when I reached out, not only did they give me someone who was qualified, but they got me the CEO and executive producer of the network. How cool is that? And she joins me right now. And I'm so happy right now to have with me. I mean, this is amazing. You heard me talk about this a few weeks ago when I got the press release. But I have the executive producer, the CEO of Gamer World News, Gail Dickey, on with me. Gail, welcome to the program. How are you, my dear?
I'm good.
Gail, I am honored to, because I think this is a part of history right here. And I am so happy to say that I'm one of the first interviews to have you on. And I'm so elated to have it, because when you guys blow up, like I know you guys will, they're going to do this search and they're going to say, oh, Paul had Gail on. I'm like, you darn straight I had Gail on, because Gail's an innovator. So, Gail, we have come a long way from Stanford University when it comes to esports. Back in 1972, when a group of video game players got together to play Space Wars, and then a few in the 80s, they got together and they started playing Space Invaders, to where we're at today in esports. Gail, tell us, when did you know that this was going to be transformational and wanted to create the network?
Well, it started almost 4 years ago, and I was actually trying to put together a digital network because I thought that TV and film were becoming more and more disruptive, and I saw how it was, the future was coming very quickly upon us. And I went to Hong Kong with a film partner, and we really convinced some people over there that it was the right thing to do. However, the technology wasn't there, the costs were high, and we kind of went back, and I started to regroup and think about exactly what it is I wanted to create. And at that point, I actually read an article. This is really how it started. I read an article in the New Yorker magazine about a young girl who grew up in a really progressive household, and her father wired their computers together, and she played strategy games. She went on to become the #1 StarCraft II player in the world. People know her as Scarlet, Sasha Hostin. And it started me thinking, where's all the news for the gamer world and esports? And it was starting to grow. I thought even then at that point it was going to become very big. And I went and I searched esports world news, because that's what I thought I'd call it. And I bought it. And then I convinced my film investors to get out of film and give me a chance to do something different, and literally pitched them on the phone, and they said, let's do it. So that's really how it started. And Gamer World News, actually that name really came a little bit later, after discussions with some studio heads and some pretty high-level people in entertainment who would privately whisper to me after I was telling them what I wanted to do, why do they call it esports? And I thought there's really a disconnect, so let's make it kind of something for everyone. And I think Gamer World News is really, the best name you could ever call it, because it covers esports and competitive and casual games, and every subject in between.
And you know what, Gail, you're spot on with that definition of so that everyone else can know what the network is all about, because everyone knows what a gamer is,
Right.
and not everybody may know what esports is. And when it comes to putting something like this together, one thing I appreciate about you being the CEO and executive producer is you know the game. You are a gamer yourself. Your favorite game is Legend of Zelda. And so
It's changed, I gotta tell you.
Oh, it is? What is it now?
Well, I started playing Fortnite.
Oh, I should have known.
I'm in trouble. I'm in serious trouble.
I should have known,
I
because
really need to stop playing it and stop watching it, because it's disruptive to my day. I have a tendency to watch Ninja on a daily basis, and I really need to stop it. And if he sees this, he needs to understand that I'm embarrassed that I stalk him so much, but I do. I learn a lot when I watch him.
No, but that's great, because a lot of my friends who had former favorite games, Fortnite now has moved up to #1. But yeah, I mean that's why we need a network like yours to inform us about these new gaming trends and why ones are really catching on. To Fortnite. So I'm glad you share that. But being a gamer yourself, talk about how that perspective helps you as the CEO and the executive producer to make sure that you stay true to the content and true to the mission.
Right. Well, listen, I have gamers that work for me, and believe me, they slap me around if I have an opinion they don't like. But it's important. You need to stay on top of all the top esports games and competitive games. And, I even want to, at some point, I really want to even give out a Minecraft report, because I think even though the game starts young at about 6, I think kids are secretly playing it after they're 12 and 13, even though they don't like to admit it. So, yeah, I think the most important thing about, being a gamer or a casual gamer is to be mindful, to be authentic, and that sense of community, and that's really important. I think that's what gaming's all about. It is a sense of community, and we want to stay, true to that nature, of the sport.
Yeah, we really do appreciate that. Being a part of the gaming community. See, my gaming community has a little niche to it. It's the disabled gaming community. So, so I'm always looking for different news to help out ones in my community to help out gaming. And I tell you, that talks about how gaming has that social aspect to it. I remember I had my accident in 1993. I didn't really start gaming on a console until about 10 years later, but I started doing computer games and playing like battle chess, games like that I can control with a mouse.
Right.
That's why, I appreciate when we look at your network, not only do you talk about the console games, you talk about the PC games, you talk about everything. Talk about the challenge of keeping Fanboy happy, because we know how Fanboy is. If we don't keep them happy, they're going to let us know. So how do you keep everyone happy?
Well, I think it's just covering a wide a gambit of subjects that pertain to gamers. We cover everything from the esports, vertical, to global gaming, what's going on all over the world, including China and South Korea and Japan and all that. And then mobile and VR and gossip, rumors and reviews and the teams and leagues and publishers. We do some exclusive interviews, and then all important, tips and tricks that people want to, know how to have a little special insight as to how to get to the next level. We're going to provide all that, and some exclusive interviews and series as well. So it's just like a traditional network, except it's all about esports and gaming.
Yeah, and I love it too, because I think you shared with me that some kids say that esports wasn't a sport. Did they say something like that?
Well, that's a big controversy, and I'm someone who has looked at it. We did a story about the former NFL commissioner Paul Tagliabue, who said, it's not a sport. And in actuality, I guess if you're sitting, they're thinking it's not a sport. So I suppose NASCAR would have something to say about that. But, listen, you have to train all day to be able to sit and concentrate. So the fact that you're not using a physical, body part in terms of running or jumping or throwing, I don't think that necessarily, categorizes it as a sport. Then in Poland, by the way, I just read this the other day, in Poland, chess is considered a sport. So there you go.
And that's what I was thinking too. I'm a huge chess player, and it's always been considered a sport to me. You know what you got to tell them, Gail? You got to tell them $1.5 billion of revenue scoreboard. It's a sport.
Boy, yeah. 1.65 in 2021. The new numbers just came out.
Wow.
And, if you look at it with all the numbers we have now, esports really is less than 1% of that $138, billion global game biz. So, listen, in 2020, it's going to exceed, U.S. pro sports. I think we've seen amazing fandom here with League of Legends in Beijing. Last year, tickets sold out in minutes. 60 million people watching. There's only 100 million people watch. The Super Bowl. So I don't know. These numbers, they fly around in my head all day long. But I think we've seen. It's going to be quite a growth market. I think at least the next 5 years. It will be explosive.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's you're definitely on the right side of history. And it was interesting. I was having a conversation with a gentleman a couple of weeks ago, and when it comes to gaming, the gamer was the person who gamed in his mom's basement, didn't have a life, and and I took offense to that because I'm a gamer. I've been a gamer for many years. Now these gamers are making a good living when it comes to esports. They're making more money than some people who then went to an Ivy League college, and I'm like, wow. Why do you think that is the case now? That it can now be monetized? What do you think would made it to be able to once be able to make a living when it comes to esports?
Well, I think not only the monetization, but the the millennial demographic is a sweet spot. The advertisers have really nowhere to go except the gaming audience. And you look at what's happened with the NBA 2K and what they're doing, and 50% of those esports fans watch the NBA, and it just allows for a younger audience. So if you want to be taken seriously, you need to, like Ninja even says, start streaming. I think it's something that it's just like any other sport where you have to watch people to get better, but the money's coming in from endorsements and personalities, and I think that it's a way to help grow the business with a younger demographic. But at the same time, you've got these young players. They start at even 16 years old. They go pro, and they're done by the time they're 25, and then they go back to school to get their education. So it's been a real flip. I think these young players are kind of the superstars of tomorrow. If they can break through, like a Ninja or like a Myth, I think there's some really, new up and coming young, streamers and professional players that we've yet to see that'll make even more than, $1 million a month, $1.5 million a month.
And, I was last year at E3 had opportunity to interview one of Intel's VP of software. And they were talking about the 9-core, processor when it comes to esports and gaming and how they sponsor esports. And when I told him, I said, I remember about 25 years ago, you guys didn't even want to be associated with gaming. You were like, no, it's for corporations, mainframe. I said, when did it shift? He said, when we saw the dollar signs and saw how popular that things was. And even like this year's E3, we're noticing that there's a lot of focus on esports this year. And it seems like everyone is really getting into the I want to say, I don't want to say hysteria, but they're getting pumped up when it comes to esports, and that got to make you feel good, especially with the network.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, I think that, and I'm happy to see E3 kind of open it up to consumer. I think it's important to let the fans in, the players in. Whether you're a competitive player, casual player, you should be allowed into that convention to see. Those are the people that are going to support you. So I think that esports as a part of E3 is mandatory at this point, because you're going to see a lot of the team members doing interviews and being showcased so that their eyeballs get even bigger with teams like Team Solomid and Team Liquid and Immortals and FaZe Clan and all these guys. They should all be there supporting E3 and doing as much as they can for the sport. It's a big year for esports at E3.
Absolutely. I was starting to see that transformational shift. Me covering tech and gaming for over a decade, you start to see the winds blowing a different direction, and it's refreshing to see that, and how your news network is really going to be at the forefront. And congratulations on reaching this milestone. Now, before I let you go, Gail, is there anything else out there you'd like to articulate out there to the viewer and the listener who's tuning in, finding about your network for the first time?
Well, I think one of the two unusual things we're doing is we have a technology from Avid called XYNC 2.0, and it's only available here with Gamer World News with Unreal Maestro engines and a gamer technology that gives us that look and feel that you couldn't see anywhere in the world. And I was really determined to not let this be your daddy's ESPN. So I think we've accomplished that. And then one other thing that I think is really interesting is to showcase girls of the game. So we've got a special channel all about girls in gaming. We want to encourage the girls out there to, come out and support it. And we're doing lots of interviews with women. And you can catch all that on YouTube, on Gamer World News, and of course at gamerworldnews.com. And then Facebook, we're on Twitter, Instagram, at GWNE now is our handle. And I think, we're just beginning. I think this year is going to be really exciting. We got a lot of big announcements coming up, so stay tuned.
And you guys have a lot of content on the website too. Talk about just keeping that together, because I've been involved in keeping something like that together, and I know the challenges behind it. How do you do it, my friend?
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really thankful to have another a senior writer and myself. Believe it or not, we've pushed out over 382 stories that we're pumping out regularly now. It is a monumental task to keep track of all of that content. I can't even begin to tell you. And it's quick. It's a minute and a half, is the most 2 minutes. And we have a massive database and great editors and great producers and, a great staff of people, creative people that really believe in what I'm doing. We have a lot of fun. I can tell you that.
Gail, I can tell just talking to you, and I can tell, when you've interviewed ones for years, you can tell when someone's giving you the business, when you're interviewing them, you're not. I mean, I feel the passion, I see the determination, and I see, Gail, that this is going to be a success with you at the helm and the team that you put together. And I would be derelict in my duties if I didn't bring up one incredible, you know where I'm going, right? One incredible achievement that you achieved. Gail, please tell everyone about that world record.
Okay, so I have the world record for bent knee sit-ups. I did 13,104 bent knee sit-ups in 12 hours. I did it in 1980. I was 3. No, I'm kidding. So, listen, all that is kind of a little bit of a calling card. It's obviously got me through a lot of doors, but I think it says when I make up my mind to do something, I'm gonna, as I said, I'm gonna crush it and finish it. So, Yeah, it was a crazy, crazy day in LA when I did that record. That's for sure.
Well, Gail, maybe one day you can tell me what I can do with this right here, because I need to mix in a few setups. Because right now this is like, you know how people say this is a heck of an investment. Remember when they talk about the stomach? But I may need to pick your brain on how to do them setups. All right. Well, Gail, it's been an honor talking to you, and much success, my friend, with the network. So and it's awesome. And we look forward to chatting with you again.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Really enjoyed my chat with Gail Dickey. Now, are you like her? Did your favorite game now jump to Fortnite? See, that's why I'm not playing it, because my favorite game of all time is actually got 3 or 4 of them. So I'll give you my top 3. Top 3 is the original Star Wars Battlefront and the original Star Wars Battlefront 2. And number 1, I like Sid Meier's Civilization on Xbox One. Pretty cool. That's why I'm not going to play Fortnite. Thanks for warning me, Gail. I really appreciate that. But definitely go show them some love at the Gamer Network. You definitely got to check it out. It's awesome. I've been checking out, watching the videos, and getting up on the news right there. It's truly, truly awesome. And all you guys looking like, why am I looking at the corner? Why am I looking at the corner of my? Because I want to make sure you guys check out Gamer World News. Check them out online. Google them. Gamer World News. Follow them on the Twitter, Facebook, all the other aspects that they have out there. Make sure you visit them online as well. This is the extent of our show. We're only a few weeks away from our E3 coverage. We're going to be live from EA Play. We're going to be live from PlayStation, their media event, also at Xbox, their media briefing. We're going to be live from there. So make sure you follow us for all the greatest news. It's going to be here before you know it. A few weeks away. We're going to be there, E3. Take care, folks. Talk to you next time. Love you guys.
In this world of technology, things are ever changing, rearranging. You need someone to help you out. I know someone who can. Come and take a journey with me as we go through the land of technology. You'll never be alone. You'll be with Paul Amadeus Lane in the tech zone.